Hello, hello. It's me. I'm back. I'm taking a 5-minute break. People are annoying me. So this is a follow-up to my previous video, but now I'm in my jammies. And they're way too big. Okay, so I mentioned in the last video that I was going to do an update video that was not denture related, and that's this video. So if you're, primarily a denture viewer, this may not be the video for you, but if you want to just stick around and kind of see what's been up with me, and maybe you can resonate with some of the hurdles I've had this month, stick around. So I had not made a video in like a month. After my last video, my little granddaughter, she comes on the weekends while her parents work and brought me some kind of fungalitis from her daycare. Those little dirty birds. So because I don't have a really good immune system, when I get sick, I get really sick, and I'm sick for a hot minute. After I got sick, it was probably the third week, I started feeling a depressive episode coming on. I don't mask the fact that I have lived with depression and anxiety my entire life, literally my entire life. I can go back as far as, I can remember as far back as 9 and 10 years old, having depressive episodes. So I'm very in tune to myself, trying to stay ahead of them, that if they do happen, I recognize that it's happening and then try to do what I can do to ride it really quick and get out of it. I'm sorry, I'm reading an email. This guy, I've literally went back and forth with him. This is the 5th time. All I need is a yes or no answer, and I'm getting dissertations. Oh, frustrating. So I felt a depressive episode coming up, and it did, and it hit me hard. And sometimes the anxiety and depression episodes will happen in tandem. And it's normally something that, especially if it's something like PTSD-ish, where it's invoking a feeling of not having control over something, or trying to perceive what's going to happen before it happens because you want to control how much of it you feel. I don't know if that makes sense, but those of you that deal with depression and anxiety will totally understand. So I started feeling a depressive episode coming on. And yes, I take a pharmaceutical. I've been on pharmaceuticals for depression since I was 17. I am on a very old school medicine that's probably outdated, but I don't change it because it works for me. I'm on I think it's the lowest dose you could probably take of it, that it probably wouldn't affect most people. And that's because and this is per my request, I don't want to be solely reliable on pharmaceuticals. I don't think that they are the answer for everything. Yes, they do help, kind of take the edge off, but we are responsible to learn to manage our emotions. And that's where cognitive behavioral therapy, that's where dialectical behavior therapy, that's where group therapy, that's where individual therapists come into play. And believe me, not all therapists are good, and not all group therapy sessions are good to be in. I remember being in a group therapy for a depression type of thing, in my early 20s. And it was at the height of a depressive episode, so I felt like I was getting something out of going there and being around people that were experiencing depression like I was. And then one day I realized I did not belong there anymore, because these people were still in the valley and I was heading up to the peak. And that's one thing I noticed that they weren't talking about. They were talking about their problems and that they were martyrs, and that, everybody else was responsible for their depression, but nobody was talking about how to get out of it. And that's when I realized, okay, I'm probably not the best person for a group setting. So I nixed that. But I visited therapy on and off for the last 20 years. it's hard. You got to find the right therapist. You know, a lot of therapists, they have their own problems. That's why they do what they do. They're easier. They can deal with other people's problems than their own. Anyways, so I was in a very clinically depressed, major depressive episode. Particularly like 2 weeks ago, I was a mess. Like I still have bags under my eyes. If I took this makeup off, you'd be like, Beanie girl, you looking rough. Yeah, I'm looking rough. I'm feeling rough. And I'm, just trying to drag myself out of it. Even up until last week, like up until last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, I felt like my house was swallowing me up. And I had a panic attack and went to the liquor store and grabbed boxes and came home and just started packing up all kinds of erroneous stuff all over my house. Like I went through my kitchen and I got rid of all my serving platters, and I just felt like it was all stuff I wasn't using. It was taking up space. It was suffocating me, and I got rid of it. I mean, I could have easily sold that stuff at a yard sale, or no, I could not wait until 7 o'clock that morning. I got up, I loaded up my car. I couldn't fit another thing in my car. And there's a thrift store like 3 blocks from my house, so it's very close. And 7 o'clock that morning, I went and I took it all and dropped it off. Now, the reason I waited till 7 in the morning is people come there at night and they loot what you donate. So I don't donate until that morning when I know that somebody's coming to open up, because then they'll take it all in before it gets looted. So yeah, I mean, and then I said, okay, it's been almost 2 weeks and you can't. And one of the tools that I use to help bring myself out of a depressive episode is comedy. Like, I changed my thought process, because otherwise you'll stay in that valley just thinking about how horrible things are, how horrible things are going to feel, and that you don't want to feel them, so you don't want to face them. And I said, nope, turn on YouTube, and I literally streamed comedy for 3 days straight. I found this new lady. She's new to me. She's been in the industry for 60 years. If you're a middle-ager or older, I think you would really appreciate her humor. She uses no cuss words, not like your friend Beanie, who loves a good cuss word. But her name is Jeannie Robertson. That's Jeanne Robertson. And she's from not too far, well, I think maybe it's a couple hours up. She's still a Southerner, but anyways, she's so smart. She's such a good storyteller. Like me, because I have, the ADD and I bounce around, I'm not really a cohesive storyteller, but this lady is so freaking funny. And she's been a keynote speaker, a humorist speaker. She's made a career out of it. She was Miss North Carolina. Went to Miss America pageant. Her husband is a doctor. They're both tall as hell. She's 6'2", he's 6'6". Their son Beaver is 6'8". Oh my God, I single-handedly, she brought me out of my, where I realized watching her, I wasn't thinking about how shitty everything was, and I just started laughing. And she has this one clip where she talks about don't mess with the fashion in New York, or you don't know the fashion in New York. You gotta watch it. Fucking made me die. She was so funny. She's just so funny, and I'm grateful that I found her. But that's what I was doing. I was watching her. I was watching Angela Johnson, which is Bon Qui Qui from Mad TV. I was watching this other lady. She's a Christian comic. I don't remember what her name is. I'd have to look it up on my phone. So that's what I did. I streamed comedy for 3 days until I started feeling my spirits kind of lighten up. And, I'm still not 100%. If I let my mind go to that place, I'll be in that place and I'll be sad. But the thing is, I'm aware of this, and I know that only I can take myself out of it. I don't really have a support system for that. I mean, yes, you have a therapist that you can pay for that, but it's not like I can call any of my girlfriends and say, hey, first of all, I'm the one that they come to for the most part when they're having issues. And I don't have people that just call me randomly and say, hey, Beanie, just wanted to check on you and see how you are. No, like I'm the one that does that. You know, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. How are you? Um, and a lot of times people will look at me and they say, you're so strong, you're so independent. Yeah, I've had no choice but my whole life to be assertive and independent and strong and on my own. And that's what makes having depression and anxiety even more isolating, because nobody expects you to have those issues. So if you even disclose to somebody like, yeah, I have depression and I have anxiety, then all of a sudden you get like this, oh, you? Who would have thought you have depression and anxiety? I have depression and anxiety. I'm telling you I do. And I have to learn, managing it is something that I have done my whole life, and learning new techniques, and some are successful and some are not successful. And it's like, really at the end of the day is knowing that there will always be a peak. Look for the peak, and you can grab yourself and slowly climb out of the valley. But you're never going to be on the peak very long. And knowing that you can gracefully come off of the peak and only skim the valley and come back up, that is life. Some people don't have that struggle where peaks and valleys really affect them the way that they do. With someone like me, I'm what people would call highly sensitive. So I'm a highly sensitive person. Some people call it empathic. I've been this way my whole life. And if you guys are ever interested, I can do video about it. And I don't come from it from a place of woo-woo and, new agey. I'm just telling you what I know. I can tell you what I live. I can tell you what I live today being an HSP. And just here's an example. When I dropped off my teeth, I told you guys in my previous video, I had to bum around waiting for my teeth to be done. So I said, let me go across the street to Joann Fabrics, and I'll buy some fabric. It makes me happy. And as I'm waiting for the light, I'm thinking about what videos I would record today, and would I talk about my depression and talk about my anxiety and how it played a role in my health successes or not successes this month, and how much did I want to share and how much I didn't want to share. And I thought about, would I disclose that I'm a highly sensitive person? And what's the benefit of me talking about that? And then it made me think about, how people just randomly come up to me all the time. And I said, I don't know if I want to talk about this. Anyways, I get inside Joann's. I'm in Joann's 5 minutes, make my way around, and I'm trying to get past this lady. And I said, oh, excuse me, just need to sneak past you. That was all I needed to say. And it just started. And long story short, this lady hijacked me for 15 minutes and told me her personal business. And this happens to me all the time. And I've lived like that my whole life. Up until my late 20s, I didn't know that there was a name for people that were sensitive like me. But now, I've lived with it, for 20 something years. So, knowing that there's a name for it, but I had it before that. And I said, this is where it becomes difficult for me. This is why I don't mind working from home. This is why I really can't go to public places where there's a lot of people. And if you guys don't realize this, like, we all put out energy. It's scientifically proven. I'm not talking about woo-woo shit, okay? I'm just talking about scientifically proven how everything runs on energy. Your lights run on energy, your car runs on energy, our bodies run on energy. It's been scientifically proven that our bodies put out energy. And just so you understand, when you go out into the world, you put out energy whether you feel it or not. Whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're marinating on, you put out into the world. And it's people like me that attract it. I don't know why I attract it. I don't know why I'm more sensitive like that. I'm not saying I can see your dead people, though I have stories that I could tell you about other stuff. But I'm not a medium, I'm not a psychic, but I can feel people's energy. And if I'm around somebody who's a very happy and excited person, I will feel that energy. And when I'm around miserable people, I will feel that energy. And when somebody tells a lie, your body energy changes. And so I can tell when people are lying or when they're telling stories. Because, it's not something you would know that your body's doing. Your body just does it. And then so it makes it, anyways, if you're ever interested, I'll do a video about it. I'm sure there's other people on YouTube that talk about it, but I'm just telling you because I'm trying to explain like how hard it is for someone like me when I get into a valley. Like it hijacks my whole life. You know, I have the anxiety, I have the depression, I have a lack of support system because people don't expect someone like me to need a shoulder. That's really what it comes down to. Like, I'm everybody's shoulder, but nobody ever expects me to need a shoulder. And so if I've reached out to somebody like needing a shoulder, it's very difficult for them. They don't know how to be that shoulder for me. And that's where therapy comes into play, because I pay somebody to be my shoulder, you know, like that's the only thing I can do, because, you know, unless somebody understands what it's like to be empathic or to be living with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder, it would be very hard for them to be empathetic to where you're at emotionally or mentally at that moment, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So how did that affect me this month? I lost no weight this month. On the positive note, I didn't gain any weight, but I got to tell you guys, I was very upset with myself. I went to fast food like 5 times. 5 times. Like, I was eating junk once a day. Now, I'm not saying I was eating fast food once a day, but I was eating crap once a day. Whether it was like crackhead soup, which is ramen soup, or like my little granddaughter has SpaghettiOs and stuff in my cabinets, so I would maybe have some SpaghettiOs, or what else did I have that was garbage? Croutons. Excuse me. Every day, like I was eating something junky, and I wasn't intermittent fasting as long as I should. So I find that 16 to 18 hour intermittent fasts is really what's been helping me. And I was doing like maybe 10 or 12 hour fasts. So when I was in that dark place, everything was suffering. I stopped walking. I didn't want, well, part of it was cold, and I'm very sensitive to the cold, but that's no excuse. I could have bundled up and went outside, but I didn't want to. I wanted to like close myself off from everybody. So my physical activity waned. I wasn't doing my knee exercises as often as I should. I wasn't taking in enough water, like, which we already know is already a struggle for me. I really wasn't even taking my vitamins the way that I should. I take my, you know, like my pharmaceutical, but I wasn't taking my vitamin D. I wasn't I couldn't even be bothered to go and get them all out of the shelf, sit them down and put them in the little pill thing. And those are very simple, everyday things. But that's what depression can do to you. So the thing is that when I'm aware that I'm doing this, I don't want to call it self-sabotage, because it is who I am. Rebounding from it is the hardest, and how not to fall into it to begin with, where you go that deep, is very, very difficult. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a medical professional, but I'm a professional of beanie. I know me inside and out. 3 ways to next Tuesday. I think I've said it before, where no one could ever say anything bad about me that I have not said to myself or picked myself apart. I'm really hard on myself. Really hard on myself. Like, I have very high expectations for myself. And if I fall into a depressed, like, okay, so here's an example of what not to do. I was afraid to get on a scale because I was like, girl, you've been eating shit. You haven't been walking. You know, walking was making you feel better. I even had a pain in my liver last week, and I had not had a pain in my liver. I know where it came from, because I was eating garbage. And my liver said, girl, have you forgot about Linda? I don't want to eat garbage. Why are you doing this, dum-dum? That's what my liver was saying. But I didn't want to get on the scale, because I was like, girl, I probably gained 20 pounds because I was eating garbage. So finally I got on the scale Monday, okay? And girl, I didn't lose any weight. I say girl, but maybe some guys are watching. I had not gained any weight. I'm the same place I was 6 weeks ago. Is that a bad thing? No. But is that a good thing? No. Because then I started playing this mind game with myself. Like, you should be another 10 pounds down by now, or you should be another 15 pounds down by now. But no, because you fell sick and then you fell into a depression, you see what happened? You got nothing. That can't happen. That kind of negative conversation cannot happen. What I have to do is change what I'm looking at and say, thank you, Jesus. I gained no weight. I could have, because I realized I made bad choices. And even when I ate poorly, that even affected how I was feeling. Like when I was eating the garbage, I felt even more like garbage, not out of like, oh, I feel so bad I ate it. No, like it just physically was making me feel worse because it's not food that my body really wanted. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if any of you have similar experiences, I mean, you may not have an experience with having major depression or lifelong depression, because major depressive episodes are not like PMS depression. Like PMS depression is a picnic. I'll take PMS depression any day of the week than a major depressive episode. But if you have those moments, just know you have to pick yourself up. Even when you feel like you can't. And believe me, I have been there. I was there 2 weeks ago and I just felt like I was so by myself. And I didn't know what I was going to do about this situation. And I didn't want to face this situation. And it was making it worse because I had nobody to talk to about this situation that could offer me the kind of support I needed. Nobody. And I felt very, very alone. And then I was literally sobbing and I just prayed and I just said, please help me. Help me. You know, and I feel like whatever you believe your higher power is, I subscribe to everything. I think every religion has something to offer me. I think every person in this world has something to offer me. Even if I don't like them, they offer me something. They show me something either about myself or about the kind of people I want to be around. But I believe in God and I believe in Jesus, and I don't subscribe to a particular religion. They are just my jam, and I communicate with my higher power the way that I choose to communicate with my higher power. But I begged for help, and I said, I can't do it alone. I can't. Like, I am in such a dark place right now. I just don't see where the light is. And I swear to God, I went to sleep, and I shouldn't swear to God, but I went to sleep and I woke up and my heart felt a little bit lighter. Without any reason. There was no reason for my heart to feel any lighter. I didn't change a medicine. I didn't do anything different other than wake up. And then there was some videos in my YouTube feed that should not have been there because I was only streaming comedy. So typically from the algorithms, YouTube will bring up what you've been looking at. And I clear out my YouTube history every day because I don't like all those ads and shit. And sometimes I use this ad blocker app, so I don't even pull up my account. But anyways, these videos came up in my feed that had no relevance to anything I'd been watching at all. And it was my help. Believe it or don't believe it, I don't care. I know what I know. I know what I know. And do I feel 100% better? No. But I'm not in a hole right now, you know. I'm not going outside to walk because it's cold. It's brick out there. And we had snow last week. But it's gone now, but it's still chilly for us in the South. But this is real life, guys. And for any of us that struggle with weight, I mean, how else did I gain 200 pounds? Depression, anxiety, and procrastination. And my health has taken a hit for it. My happiness has taken a hit for it. And it's a matter of healing and working through it. And it's one thing at a time. But what I'm trying to say is that if any of you are struggling with a weight issue, just understand your weight issue has your diet and exercise is like this much of it, right? There's something else going on that you're not addressing the reasons that your diet and exercise are shit, why they're not priorities to you is what I'm trying to say. Is like, why aren't your health and your wellness a priority? Like, you want to live a long time. You want to live to see your kids grow up. You want to see your grandkids. So there's a disconnect somewhere. And if you're ever feeling like you're alone and you're sad and you're disconnected and, you know, God, the struggle seems real, just know you're not the only one on the struggle bus. Even the most put together person is on the struggle bus in some way, shape, or form. Some way, shape, or form. There's nobody out there that's perfect. The only thing that we can do is continue to be support systems where we can. I find that when you offer to help others, it does help you. When you are of service, when you put yourself out there to be vulnerable to help other people, it does help that person as well. And that's what I hope to do. You know, even if I only reach one person on these videos and one person says, holy shit, like, I can understand what Beanie's saying. And it helps them get through that one day where then I did what I wanted to do. You know, and maybe when I'm long gone from this earth, you know, people will find these videos and say, wow, I didn't realize that. I knew that girl. And I didn't realize that about her. And wow, you know, she shared all of this information. So anyways, I'm going to go do some work because it's time. I hope each and every one of you as well. By the way, again, recap. Depressive episode. Did not lose any weight. I fell off my exercise schedule. I am putting myself back together slowly but surely. If any of this resonated with you and you need somebody to talk to, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but like I said, I've been around the block and I'm very well aware of myself. So if you ever need somebody to talk to, you can always email me at beanieannscripted.com. You can comment down below if you want or if you don't, like or dislike. You know how I feel about that kind of stuff. I'm not here for that. I won't ever, you know, be that person, but just take care of yourself. Remember, if you don't put yourself above everything else, no one else is going to do that for you. Your husband, your kids, your family, no one else is going to hold you up here. You know, we have to hold ourselves. All right, guys. So I will talk to you later. Bye.